So when we're talking about listening, we're talking about listening to understand the other person, not just to wait our turn and try and get in and respond with what we want to say. We want to listen to understand the other person. And then when we understand the other person, we can respond. And it doesn't really matter whether we're agreeing or disagreeing. We've understood them, and now we can offer what our perspective is, and then the two of us, or however many people are communicating, will compare their understandings. And in this way, if they're different, then we get the opportunity to open our minds and our hearts. And after reflection and discussion, we may change our mind or we may not. An example, the next one is thinking. So we've got listening, we've got thinking. An example where we talk about thinking is questioning. Now, questioning is it doesn't really happen much in the schools. It's a lot of children report that it's quite a discouraging thing to do. And I've always asked a lot of questions, and sometimes people get the wrong end of the stick because they think you're asking the question and they might look silly, or that you're testing them out or whatever. But I ask questions because I want to know what other people think, and I want to know what kind of life they've had, and I want to find out what they do to navigate life better. An example of questioning. In my teaching, I ask lots of questions, and I don't want the answer. I may do, that's later on in the lesson, but at the beginning, the questions I ask are examples of the questions I want my students, who for many years have been teachers, I want them to ask the questions. And of course, in the natural course of the lesson, sometimes they ask me a question, well, Phil, what would you do if blah, blah, blah? And I just throw it back to them and I say, good question, what's your answer? So questioning's an art, and as soon as we get into that mode where we question others and we question ourselves, and we're happy to be questioned by others, that's when we start to think more, and when we think more, we understand more, we learn more, and life is easier. The more skilled you are at playing golf, the easier golf is. Same with cycling, same with rock climbing, same with cooking. But we never think of learning in this way. And thinking is obviously a huge part of learning. The third one is living with integrity. This is super important, integrity. Easy way to remember what to do to have integrity. You live with heart. This is the one example. There's other ones. We talk about values, and we develop the inner authority, and I can talk about the self, A to Z. But living with integrity, just live with heart, and heart's an acronym. Live with honesty, empathy, awareness, responsibility, and trust. And that's you. That's how you're living. And you may choose to trust other people. What they do with that trust is their choice, but our choice is to trust other people, to trust life, to trust the universe. And if it goes wrong, it's not because it's against us, it just goes wrong because we perceive it to be wrong. But should that stop us from trusting the world? It's a difficult one. I think a lot of people would argue against it, but for me, trust centers the real power in my life inside me. I'm choosing to trust. And I've seen from my own experience that when you are seen to trust somebody, they don't want to break it, because that's the human essence. And probably too many people in life don't find times where other people trust them. So if I come along and I show that I trust them, I've seen lots of positive reactions to this. Number 4, so number 1 is the listening skill, number 2 is the thinking skill, number 3 is living with integrity, number 4 is communicating. Now communicating is at least 2 people, could be more, but normally it's going to be 2, 3 or 4. More than that is too many. Communicating is 2 things, well it's more than 2 things, but it's listening and speaking. And if I'm with you, if you're doing the speaking, I should be doing the listening, and vice versa. If I'm speaking and you're not really listening to me because you're just waiting for me to stop so you can speak whatever it is you want to speak, that's fine. That's me speaking and then it's you speaking, and we're speaking at each other. There's no communication really because we're not engaging. And coming back to communication, we had the example of asking questions in the thinking domain. Well, it's the same with communication. If I ask questions of you and you see that I'm doing this with respect and so on, you're happy to be asked and you're happy to be given a chance to express yourself, express your thoughts, and I'm not judging you. It's wonderful. So that's one example of communicating. Another couple there, listen attentively and so on. But with communication in my classroom, when I'm teaching communication skills, like every skill, there's knowledge associated with it. So the knowledge, useful knowledge to know about communicating is, for example, the information processing system of the brain, IPS. So I teach that. How does the brain process language? We're talking about memory, and in this part of learning about life and communicating, we understand how indoctrination works, and we understand how we can liberate ourselves. So language can be liberating, it can be enslaving. And the 5th pillar is holistic living. And that really means living with health and wellness. We can't do that without the right knowledge. So super important with holistic living is to investigate the different parts of us. We are a whole, but the human brain finds it easy to separate into parts, and then we put it back together again. So you've got the body, you've got the mind, you've got the soul, and you've got the whole environment out there that you're living in, and the media environment. And holistic living is living in harmony within myself, my mind, body and soul, and my mind, body and soul as a whole is living in harmony with the environment around me. And just to finish this video, with the environment around me, I receive, so I get food, I get medicine, I get information from the media, I may be taught at schools or universities or whatever. So coming at me from the external environment is various aspects. There's climate, there's weather, and so on, and that comes into us. And either it's favourable or unfavourable, nutritious or toxic. So toxic media, do you want it? Toxic foods made by whoever, made usually toxic. Flavourings, colourings, additives, preservatives, INS numbers. They used to be called E numbers. So, and then of course you've got your mind food, but then there's the production as well. So, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you giving out? Are you giving out positive energy? No. Perhaps you're receiving it, negative energy, toxic foods, toxic thoughts, images, because they're closely related, input, output. So that's my 5 pillars in a nutshell, and I'm going to be, this probably, at the moment, this is my first version that will underpin my whole Infinity Education project, academy, it's a learning academy, learning skills. So just to wrap those up again, listening, thinking, living with integrity, communicating, holistic living. If you liked what you heard in here, and you're welcome to go back and pause and replay and so on if you thought this was interesting stuff, and whatever you liked about it or questioned about it or disagreed or whatever, perhaps you could put a comment below, and I've still got time to individually reply to comments. And let me know if you think that you'd like to learn more of these 5 pillars, whether it's by reading books or coming on a webinar with me, or learning with me on a live online course, learning course, or a recorded one. Just let us know. Just to sign off, I'm in a special place. I'm in our tea tree house, Sanpatong, Chiang Mai. My wife's in the home, the little house we have over there. I wonder if you can hear the night noises. This is our tea shop. Now that was a very impromptu video. I'm going to post it up. It's a bit of a test, you know. So let me know if you like this style. If you don't like it, tell me. Ta-ra.